Please watch our movie on the largest screen possible, and one day, very, very soon, take everyone you know into a theater, shoulder to shoulder, in that dark space, and watch every film that's represented here tonight.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to You'll Probably Agree. Today we're talking about the pandemic Oscars. I don't know how else to think of it. It's like the Oscars during a global event that we haven't seen since the early 1900s. But anyway, before I get into that, I want to welcome from moviesandshakers.com, Al and Linda Lerner. They are the power couple. They know how to review movies. They are the greatest. They're also from, we know each other from what? The Chicago Indie Critics. And
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, that pandemic back in 1918, that was rough. That was a rough one. You know, Bill, you remember that one?
I do. Stays with you.
It's like I'm. Yeah, it's like I invited like my parents and my uncle over today. And today we have Bill Bunker from BillBunker.com. So guys, this was kind of a interesting Oscars year, you know. I'm going to remember that it came during a very odd time. You know, we had a global pandemic. We lost a lot of people. But I think the thing that's going to stand out to me the most is this. Come on, turn it up. Do the mud, Glenn. Do the mud.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we're all doing the butt.
Yeah.
Well, that was a rare moment of levity in the show. It seemed to be kind of a downer all around.
Well, it was physical activity, if nothing else.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's like, how do you like keep the mood up during a show like this? Like, hey guys, we're inside. Like, it looked like they were inside of a train station. Like, where did they film it?
They were.
That was the Union Station in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, which was a strange.
We should probably build this show as a public service, because chances are that anybody listening to this didn't watch the Oscars.
That's true. I'm glad you pointed that out. Yes, this show was particularly strange because the way it was shot, it's like they shot. It's like someone who works in technology, like who just like does behind the studios of like Bill could tell you, I'm the video guy at Laugh Factory, and I'm always around filming everyone's sets. So I do a lot of live events. It was like the whole time I was watching it, I'm like, why are they filming this show on like one tripod with the rest on steady cams? You know, there's only one on sticks and the rest, you know, they're floating around. And then I remembered, I think Aaron White pointed it out to me. He said, by the way, big shout out to his show. He pointed out to me that Steven Soderbergh was directing it, and I'm just like, oh, that's why it looks weird, because you gave it to a filmmaker who wants to put his stamp on it instead of just kind of going with the regular formula. And there's just so many odd choices. I don't know. Am I the only one that thought that it was a little weird?
Well, as you said, yeah.
It was not only did he try to feel like a film, as a video guy, the texture of the video itself, his resolution, his choice of resolution was also a grainy film texture as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
on purpose.
So it was designed to be a film. I think Soderbergh was producing it as well. And so his stamp was all over this thing, and he admitted before it started, said it may fly and it may flop. What's the difference?
As does many of his films, or either he wanted to resurrect sex lies and videotape.
Right. He wanted it to be more like than a TV show.
But I also that one of the it wouldn't be somebody on a stage speaking to an audience, so they would be in having conversation, which I just thought was so awkward. You'd be
Yeah.
listening to somebody present, and then
Yeah.
somebody behind them's just space, like, you know. But
It's
And also
strange.
just-
No, go ahead.
And sitting in the booth, just sitting, the people who, the camera was on them, but they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
There was an awkward moment when they were talking about Daniel Kaluuya and his performance, and I think it was Dern was Laura Dern was behind him. The camera was on him. He was looking at the camera, but then he turned around to see he had to turn completely around to see who was talking about him. And so there was this awkward shot of the back of Kaluuya's head as you're listening to Laura Dern talk about it.
no, I remember that part. It was really awkward. And you start to like think, gee, does anyone know how to like perform or make a movie out there in LA? Maybe they could hire that person.
Was this the moment here?
Yeah.
No,
that was.
Okay. But no, I get it. Like, no, the
Speaking
whole
of him,
thing.
literally behind his, and he had to turn around to see what she was saying about him. Like,
Yeah. No, like literally the whole time, like the camera were kind of, I don't know, there's kind of this awkward camera moment when it came to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that was from the Cannes Film Festival, where the cameraman got a little like too comfortable getting his camera like in everyone's face. Oh, here it is. And like, if I skip to like, let's say 117 here, like everyone's just like, what, dude, get that. This is basically what the Oscars looked like last night. Like,
no, that's a great
I have to be here, but I don't know why.
reference point.
yeah,
It was like that. Then it reduces these mega film stars to just like people who are so awkward in front of a camera that they don't seem to know what they're supposed to do.
Many do need a script.
yeah. I mean, there was, speaking of needing a script in Brad Pitt, there was a moment where she won. I don't want to butcher her name, but she won best supporting actress or best actress, I believe, right? Or was this best supporting actress? Yes. And she asked, like, do I go off stage, right? And Brad Pitt's just standing there, and he had to like help her out because like nobody else knew what to do in that moment.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like when it comes to like,
That was her dream anyway, to be with him.
yeah, I mean, this show was filled with so many odd choices. Like the arrangement of the categories, best picture came before actor and actress. Probably.
But there was a reason for
Oh
it.
yeah, they wanted to get the F out of there as soon as possible once they announced it.
They wanted the best actor to be last because they assumed it was going to be Chadwick Boseman and have that wonderful, touching send off for Boseman.
Sentimental.
And have that emotional high point.
Very
And
much.
I assume they were going to probably have his wife come on to accept the award the way she had at the Golden Globes and others.
Places.
And it proved that the voting, the integrity of the voting was spot on. Nobody knew that they deep sixed that whole idea with the voting.
Yeah, two things. Why didn't they just vote for him? Like, like who's going to remember Anthony Hopkins winning his second Oscar? And then
during a pandemic.
Us didn't have an inkling that he might not win.
Except for the fact that Anthony Hopkins did give the best performance of the year. Chadwick Boseman gave a great performance, but I think, and the voters agreed with me that Anthony Hopkins gave a better performance.
Yeah, we picked the father. Well, I was going back and forth, because I really thought that Chadwick Boseman was going to win for that reason, because he had passed away and there was a lot of sentimental. an emotional value to that. But I really thought the father, that Anthony Hopkins did an amazing job.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to
Well,
see
when-
it because I didn't know I was supposed to ask for a screener for it because like it was my first year being a total pro critic, so rookie move. Although I could have asked some people I know. But yeah, like I haven't judged it, but it's like
It wouldn't have
Anthony
been the
Hopkins
first
is
time
a
Hollywood didn't.
yeah. Anthony Hopkins is a legend, though. I'm sure he gave a wonderful performance. And I mean, it's weird. It's like they could have like chosen between, I mean, between him and Chadwick Boseman, you had someone who is older, and then you have someone who's already dead. And yeah, I don't know, but I thought I don't know. I'd have to see the father to see if like is it really Oscar so white, or did it really just go to the right person, but everyone wanted to just immediately assume that the Academy wanted to
This wasn't a
rip off.
racial- I don't think this was
Yeah.
a racial thing as much as it was
No.
a sentimental thing.
Yeah.
He's no longer here. He can never get an Oscar, so we should give it to him now. Well,
Yeah.
Okay, except that, if there's going to be integrity, if we'll come back to that word, if you're going to have the integrity of who gave the best performance,
Yeah.
then that's what they decided. That's what their votes decided.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I think at the end of the day, I saw Ma Rainey. I didn't see the father, so I couldn't really formulate sort of like an objective opinion on it, and like on an unfair bias or basis. But from what I gathered, there was probably a reason Hopkins was nominated for this performance. I've heard nothing but incredible things, and it's like he's still gets to enjoy having the Oscar, where Chadwick, unfortunately, due to tragic circumstances, certainly it would have been an emotionally moving note to go on, but at the same time, you had to give it to the right guy for the job. And it seems like Hopkins was probably it. And also, it's so I don't know. I just think like people shouldn't overreact before they think about what happened, because immediately when I heard it, I didn't even think about it until like people mentioned it. And I'm like, oh man, Anthony Hopkins is going to wake up tomorrow morning, turn on the news, and be like, "Oh, what did I do? My goodness!"
Well, I think there were some real differences in those two performances, because we saw them both, and we actually saw the father at Sundance last year before COVID hit.
Yeah.
And with Florian Zeller was there, although Hopkins was not. And in that movie, he turns his emotions on a dime. I mean, he, in the middle of a scene, just changes character completely. And it's really quite startling, and it's quite remarkable.
It's about a movie who's a man who's sinking farther and farther into dementia, and watching him lose it as the movie progresses, and it's heartbreaking.
Yes,
and it is chilling at the end. It was just it was just an amazing performance.
Right, but also Chadwick Boseman was amazing in his performance. I mean, he had raw emotion in there in every single scene, and he was also remarkable, but a much different kind of role.
Yeah,
Well,
it's a
I
tough
don't
call
think,
to make.
To Mike's point, like it wouldn't have been such a big deal if they didn't sort of rejigger the whole order.
Correct.
To make it happen. It wouldn't have seemed like such a wrong move, if that's what you want to call it. But
yeah, I think the timing of it really kind of made it stand out as like this unintentional joke. But they're like, oh man, they're gonna burn this place down when they find out we didn't give it to Chadwick. Okay, they gave it to him. End the show, get out of here, But I think that's literally what it felt like when I was watching it.
Well, speaking of rushing things, of other people that died.
Oh my God! Yes.
Through that, I couldn't even the names.
Oh, the in memoriam many.
It was like reading credits from
a half second a person. Like
yes, actually,
that was crazy.
Yeah, like literally, I couldn't catch their names. I'm sorry.
We either recognized the face or had to read the name. There was not time to do both.
Yeah. That was so bizarre.
And the music choice in it too.
Telling who the person was and what they did.
Well, what, the Stevie Wonder song?
That was,
Was it?
Yeah.
I
That
thought
was,
that was okay.
you know, why does
I'll
it,
remember you always.
why does it
That
have
was
to
good.
be a
Yeah.
maudlin ballad?
It doesn't have to be.
You know, that I give them, I'll give them
I thought
props
that
for
was a
that.
good.
Well, they wanted some upbeat music because they were going through it at a breakneck
Well,
Yeah,
speed.
exactly.
I thought they were speeding up in some places and not in others, and that was Bob.
Well, no, I agree. Like some, actors that are, they lingered on Sean Connery a little bit
And
longer than,
Chadwick.
yeah,
Well,
and or
yeah.
and there was a guy who was a grip who died, or
Yeah, get through that one quick.
Another emotional, top emotional moment of the whole show was Tyler Perry's
Absolutely.
speech.
I agree. I agree
Mhm.
100%. And I wasn't expecting that because I I'm not a huge fan. Not that I dislike him. But I think he said something that was so genuine.
Absolutely.
That,
I mean, he's done a lot for the film business, period. I mean, he's done a lot for actors and everybody behind the scenes.
Yeah.
He is a charitable human being, and he's done a lot for in terms of COVID too.
well, it
Yeah.
seemed genuine too. Like the whole Bryan Cranston thing just seemed weird. Like,
Oh, I
Bryan
don't.
Cranston seemed utterly joyless during the thing. Like he just,
Yeah. Why am I here?
why am I
Yes.
here? I'm reading. He's. Well, the other thing that caught me, it's what was the organization that was started in 1921, the Film and Television
Yeah, in
something. I'm like, did they have television in 1921? Like,
if they did, it was experimental. Certainly, it wasn't an industry in 19.
no, there were no people who needed insurance or anything.
I believe they changed the name later on. I think.
Well, I'm sure they did, but
Yeah.
that's just a matter of saying now known as the.
Mhm.
Yeah.
like,
Yes. The timing.
Sort of went with the whole show. Seemed sloppy. Like,
Yeah, because they brought in a filmmaker instead of a television director, and a television director is like, look, man, I'm just here to get the check, and I'm here to produce the best quality broadcast I can. Where, I mean, I'm not saying there's no artistic integrity, but then a filmmaker is like, oh, I'm gonna make it mine, and it's like, no, just leave it alone, stick with the orchestra, it's fine.
Well,
Well,
that's
Well,
the thing.
they didn't have an orchestra.
They couldn't have an orchestra.
Oh,
That's
that's
why
true.
cost-
They could have played it on
That's
MP3, right?
and they couldn't have any performances. So
No.
so there was, all of the production numbers that you would normally expect to see in an Oscar
Yeah.
show were absent because of the COVID protocols.
Yeah.
They couldn't have those performances.
Well, and they had the
That's true.
songs, big production numbers with all the songs that were nominated before on ABC before leading up to the Oscar
in the
program. So we
pre-show.
happened to see those, and I thought that was real beneficial, but it's too bad it didn't come into the show itself.
Yeah.
I know I'm biased here, but there was a real lack of comedians,
It was.
There
Yeah.
were.
and they were sorely needed.
They've been a little lack of comedians ever since they banned having hosts.
Well, yeah, I mean, who was it that came on? Don Cheadle. I couldn't even, like, he seemed like he wanted to not be there more than any human being. And then he's talking about like art direction or something mundane, and he's frowning and going through this spiel. I'm like, what is happening? Like, is this the best they could come up with? Like,
Yeah.
bring Billy Crystal back.
Yeah, and when we go through the show, I think we kind of covered it. It was a weird show, but like at the end of the day, I think it was done maybe well enough. But I mean, to Al's point, like, yeah, you could tell that they filmed this thing like on a cinema camera instead of a broadcast television camera.
Yeah, it had
Like,
that picture.
yeah, like I can immediately tell. I'm like, oh, that looks exactly like my Black Magic, like that. It's like the same exact look at it as
Right.
it, except maybe like a little like fancier. But it's like literally like, oh yeah, you could tell this is meant for like cinema. It's meant for cinematography, but it just doesn't match because I remember I didn't notice anything was off, but then my friend turned to me and he said he doesn't follow movies at all, so it kind of really made an impact. So he just went like, what something looks weird. I'm like, I don't get it. What looks weird? He's like, I don't know, like they keep moving or something. Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, the frame rate, the texture and the frame rate
Right,
was
different.
cinema.
That was cinema.
Yeah. Like, and you could tell definitely how blurry that image gets. Like when you move the camera around left and right, it's just like, oh my god. So Nomadland wins Best Picture. Were you guys happy with it? Do you think it deserved to win, or was it like, I don't know why everyone loves it? Like I'm kind of
Great movie, great direction, beautifully shot. It wasn't the best movie of the year.
No, I don't think so.
I agree.
What was the best movie in your opinion?
I would have put Promising Young Woman ahead,
Yep.
ahead of that.
Really hot on that. Yes.
The Father could have been that
The Trial
movie.
of the Chicago 7.
Uh,
Not as
Yeah.
best. No,
It-
but
that-
Promising Young Woman.
Got two Aaron
It's a little-
Sorkin at the end.
It was a little too Oscar baity for me. It was too much like, hey, remember this moment in history? Like, yes, we do. Yes.
Yeah, but that was an Aaron Sorkin.
Well,
I mean, it
but
was Aaron
in the
Sorkin.
current climate, I think it had.
Right. It definitely hit the zeitgeist realm,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Judas and the Black Messiah also hit some
Oh,
very
yeah.
some very strong notes. But Promising Young Woman was an original.
Really?
It was.
truly
It
original
was
movie.
so good. I saw it the day before the Oscars, and I'm like, wow, this is like the one thriller that I've seen. Like outside of Parasite, it's hard to get a reaction out of me when I watch movies. I'm like, oh, this is a scene where this is gonna happen because I see it, but that one for some reason, when that big plot twist comes, I don't want to say what it is.
No.
Woo!
It is original in every sense of the word.
It keeps you
Really?
engaged from frame one to the final frame. It's not preachy. It knows exactly what it's saying. And it's like, there is a lot of moments where there were guys in that movie saying, I'm a nice guy. And I'm like, oh God, I said that, watching it. It nails every single aspect. I just loved that movie so well.
And well cast, very well cast.
Carrie Mulligan. Okay. Carrie Mulligan got robbed, and then she had to get robbed to Frances McDormand howling like a wolf in the Oscars, just to make matters worse. It's like, I love Frances McDormand, but doesn't she already have two? I know she has one for.
Yeah.
Third. So wow.
Meryl Streep.
Carrie Mulligan was way better, like by a million miles in that movie. She was fantastic.
I've only seen two movies in a theater in the last, since COVID, and one was Tenet.
Yep.
But like, how does Tenet not get like best editing? I don't even understand. Like,
well,
there's bullets moving backwards. Anyway, and the other one I saw was, and maybe Al and Linda, if you've seen it, it was called Yellow Rose, and it was about this Filipina girl who's like a dreamer and lives in Texas, and her mother gets deported, but she's a singer too, and she sings her own songs. And it was an amazing movie, maybe just because memorable because I saw it in the theater, but I don't know why movies like that and the performance of that actress don't, even like best song, because all of her songs in the movie were originally written, and but
it's interesting. We thought that some of the best filmmaking of the year was not the feature films; it was the shorts. The shorts.
Usually is.
Short live action category was spectacular this year. And if you haven't seen the shorts, all of the nominated shorts, seek them out and watch them.
All of them are very I was a judge for the shorts for the Women's Film Critics Circle a couple years ago, and there were some very good shorts there. But this year was exceptional. Absolutely.
Is there a place where you can see them all in one?
Yeah,
a lot of them are on YouTube, and some are on Netflix.
Right, and some of the Gene Siskel
Center.
theater center is also was showing for like $7 or something.
Right.
But the one that won, Two Distant Strangers,
Amazing.
It's like a Groundhog Day kind of concept.
Huh. That's really taken off this year.
with the race card thrown in.
Yeah.
And it's really an amazing movie.
An amazing movie. But also the other one that we like so much was Feeling Through. Which is a remarkable film about a young Black homeless man who is wandering around in the middle of the night, and he encounters a man who needs help, who's blind and deaf. And they forge a relationship, kind of a friendship, to try and get the blind deaf man home.
And that blind deaf man, the actor, is blind and deaf. Which is pretty
which gives it bonus points for sure. It's way better that way. Yeah.
Remarkable film.
Yeah. It's funny. There's so many times where I'll watch a feature film and I'll be like, this would make an amazing short film, but as a feature, this doesn't work. That's the beauty with short films, is that they're condensed. You can kind of rely on the style that also gives you the right amount of substance, where with a feature, you got that dreaded middle act, those dreaded middle 30 to 60 pages that you got to fill out, which is why categories like that just work so much better. There's so many examples, like
some of those shorts could be features.
Yeah. I always think, yeah, exactly. And exactly. It could be the other way around, where there's a lot of shorts that can make incredible features, which is why sometimes they, adapt shorts into features. Like one of my favorite features, THX 1138, is based off of THX 1138, 73E Earthbound or something like that. But it was like Lucas's first film, which is just insane, like how he did it. Now you look at it today, it just looks like a guy running around a parking lot. But when you see it, when I did back in high school in 2005, just show how old I am now. It's incredible.
You're real old, Mike.
I think about it all the time. I'm real self-conscious about it, but I see that, I'm like, that was an amazing work of art made on, because you had so little back then. I mean, I still have one of the old Bolexes that you roll around. I mean, you had to get the lighting right, you had to get everything right, but it was so condensed and so wonderful. But the feature version was just incredible, sort of exercise in mise en scène, to sound like a snob, that works so well. But yeah, I just thought Nomadland was okay. I get it. I see why people love it. I see why people are profoundly struck by it. It definitely, hey, I don't love the system either. But at the end of the day, I felt within a few minutes okay, I see what's going on with this film. I feel like it's getting a little redundant, seeing people enjoy nature and talking about, how life screwed them over. But I'm not, I don't really have a feeling about it, because it's at the end of the day, it was a movie that seemed good enough to win. I mean, if something I'm not a fan of it, but I mean, definitely, I have an opinion on movies, and my opinion doesn't supersede anyone else's. I just thought, if it was a Trial of Chicago 7, that would have been sort of the crash for me, where it's every movie but that one, because that was just the most Oscar baity sort of movie imaginable. But at the same, with English actors putting on these horrible American accents. Yeah,
I had a problem with that.
So I'm originally from Boston, and I never bought Sacha Baron
Wow.
Cohen's Boston
We looked at
accent
each
as
other.
Abby Hoffman. No.
Is he from Boston or England or like did
Oh,
they
he
deep
was-
fry a
he
guy
was-
from Boston, England together? Like,
Yeah.
He
what
slips
he
into
was trying to
Borat once in a while. and
yeah, like what the
Well, I heard people say that they thought Nomadland was like watching paint dry, but then I heard other people say, and I agree to a certain extent, that in this pandemic era with COVID, it was
yeah.
about isolation.
Yeah.
And she felt very isolated, and a lot of people could relate to that.
Absolutely. And that's why I loved it. I'm like, you know what? It is a beautiful sort of in terms of cinematography, I'm just kind of like I could easily shoot that. But like in terms of what it's saying, it's beautiful. You know, you don't really see people at that level represented like that, and especially during COVID, you can see yourself in that role. You know, you could see yourself like, yeah, I'm stuck in here the longest time. How great would it be if I just let go and went out to the I mean, COVID changed a lot. I mean, COVID made me shed like 55 pounds. It definitely, I think, whenever there's a Best Picture nominee, it feels like if something hits the year, like what's going on at that particular point in time, it excels beyond a level that I don't know. Like, will people remember Nomadland a few years from now, like 10 years from now?
I think that film buffs
Yeah.
and film students will study that film, will watch that film for many years.
Yeah.
It was interesting though that the studio had no idea how to market this thing. If you ever saw any of the advertising for Nomadland, they marketed Nomadland as a feel-good road trip movie.
Yes, they did. Yeah.
Well, that is anything but a feel-good road trip.
Yeah. Yeah, like Frances McDormand, it's basically, first off, how did Amazon let this? I don't think they'd ever allow this in their store. But how did they ever call and be like, you can't show that?
I don't know. I would like to talk a little bit about Sound of Metal and Riz Ahmed, because
Oh my God. I love Sound of Metal. I
That's
cried my eyes out when I saw it. I bawled. Yeah.
I was thrilled that the sound editor and the sound and the editing got recognition, because that is a remarkable film for that. The way they've captured the sound. And I happened to see a talk with Darius Martyr, who was a director of that, and his brother. And what they went through, they worked like 6 months just on the sound.
Yeah.
And it was incredible. I mean, I think it was over 6 months. I think it was about a year. But they did a remarkable job of making you understand what it was like.
If there was an indie film I'd love to see in a theater, it would be that one, just to see it in full surround sound, in a dark room. I actually loved Frances McDermott's bit about go take your family, lock them by your arms, and see a movie in the theater. Because it's not just Hollywood begging people to see their work. It's saying embrace something that we don't have, that you don't realize how much it means until it's taken away from you. And I just thought that was a wonderful sentiment towards see, because there's nothing that beats the theater experience, you know. And it's something that you can't really experience wearing a mask, fogging up your glasses, or anything like that. It's something that you have to see, because I don't think I could see Nomadland or anything like that. I think without the big screen, it just kind of compromises it. But Michael Phillips actually made a whole interesting point about people are saying this year, well, you know, I haven't heard about the movie, so I don't care. Like, well, I understand that movies aren't in theaters. It's hard for people to see, but at the same time, it's like, well, we just gave you the name of the movie. Just look it up.
Well, I you know, my personal feeling, because I didn't see a lot of the movies, but I've seen a lot of different series on HBO. You know, in between all this, you're watching Queen's Gambit and things like that. So your movie experience and your TV experience is now identical. So you're not quite
Yeah.
distinguishing them like you used to.
That's
Regina,
actually a good point. Yeah. Because like it's hard. It gets muddled. I'm sorry, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say Regina King also mentioned that when she first came in and when she kind of set the stage for the rest of the show. She said, go see a movie. She also made that clear.
You know,
Yeah.
I wonder when people are going back to movies after a year. And
Okay.
Bill, to your point, after a year of being able to sit in front of the TV and stop it when you want and get up and
Yeah.
go to the bathroom and yell and scream at it and eat whatever you want. If people are going to actually know how to be an audience anymore.
Yeah, well, that extends beyond the
Infuriating.
movie theater, I think, to just, are people going to know how to behave like humans
Yeah.
in society? But yeah, so that's what I miss. You know, you're home, you can pause it, you can take a phone call, you can, and that's just a different experience than sitting with a group of people in a watching on a 60-foot
I wouldn't
screen.
mind if people didn't eat in the movies. Because
That would be okay with me. Yeah.
and they
I-
take me out of the movie sometimes. I've had people I've sat next to that I just wanted, please put the popcorn down.
But to your point, Bill, you know, it's interesting when you're at home with the remote and you get to dictate the pace of the film. That's very different
Yeah.
than when you sit in a theater and the director gets to dictate. the
That's
pace
a
of the
very
film.
good point. That's it. And you know, that's what we're used to watching television programs, whether they're
Mhm.
sitcoms or, you know, more film like shows. You know, I watched with we watched Soul, we watched Wonder Woman, which was the worst movie of all time, if not
The first one or
year.
second one?
The second one.
Oh yeah, the second one's terrible.
But there, it's just a different kind of experience.
Yeah. But I think the thing is, I wonder, because that is so true, that the filmmaker is intending for you to sit through that movie and watch it in complete isolation in its entirety. I think David Lynch, I mean, unfortunately, at the end he couldn't get what he wanted, but he was a proponent. I have a copy of Eraserhead where there's no scene selection, and that's intentional because he wants you to watch it straight through. Now, when you get up, you know, and eat whatever, that element's missing. But I think audiences are going to be so hungry, which hopefully they won't eat popcorn, you know, right next to my eardrums, to get back into the theater, to just go out and see each other. I think they'll be happy to go there. And if theaters can make it through December, I think they'll be all right. And I certainly it'll be an interesting Oscar here. The shocking thing to me is last year at the Oscars, can you believe it? It was like last February. I was in a bar with a bunch of people watching the show, and now we're all watching it from home in a train station. It's a bizarre experience to see the Oscars this year for sure. But I'm not sure. Overall, what do you guys think of the show?
I think that show was for people who are into the movies and
Yeah.
want to know who won the Oscar, and that is a minuscule amount of people. So it was not a broadcast event. It was a narrow cast event.
No, that's it. Because I was going to say, just as a spectator of the event, I remember growing up, you know, Nicholson, and you'd be like, that would be so cool to be there. Like, and last night you could see people who were there, like, when is this going to end? Like, I want to get out of here. Like, I'm talking about the people seated there. Like, they just seem bored. And like,
I thought some of the little vignettes of why these people, you know, leading up to who they were that were nominated, why they loved movies and when they were a kid, what they did. And I thought that was okay. And those were, you know, short and sweet.
Yeah.
That was okay. But the pacing of the rest of the show, it just kind of went up and down. It was lagging.
Yeah.
And the pacing was just complete.
Yeah, it seemed to lack just, real like star power.
Yeah.
Like even Harrison Ford was kind of mumbling up there. And
Yeah, yeah, that was very difficult to see him finish his speech. He's like, I'm trying to finish the joke.
Very much
Just
so.
cut me the check.
And John Batiste, I love the guy, but
Oh yeah,
on.
I gotta see Colbert tonight. And that reminds me, yeah.
Yeah, it'll
They'll
be
be-
a gush. It'll be a gush fest.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm really happy for it. God, he's in
I'm
his
happy for
20s,
him, but
gosh.
he needed a script.
Yeah, he just kind of started rambling. Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, that did seem to happen.
So talented.
Yeah, it's weird. One thing I did love about the show was that they did they did let everyone do their speech and they didn't play them off. And I'm like, okay, is that something we can do for every show from now on? I don't care if the show is like 8 hours long. Let them have their time. They worked their whole life to do this.
Right.
Yeah, there was one. I think it was one of the early speeches. It was the guy in the white tux. It was
oh, the Dutch.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
guy
Yeah.
who went on and on and on, and he did his speech in chapters.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it ended with like the tragic death of his daughter or something. So it got way
Oh.
It got
like
yeah,
confusing and
personal.
yeah.
But it went on, and they did not play him off, and so that was it. It felt very
hard.
uncomfortable.
That was hard.
Well, now that I think of it, they should have left John Batiste up there for the rest of the show. Just
Yeah. Yeah, you could just play him off. But I think, yeah, I think at a certain point, if the speech is going for that long, cut him off. But if you're getting into something personal, talking about like a deceased family member or something, it's like, how do you do that? Like, sorry about your dead daughter. Like, you just can't do it.
Well, I was so sorry for the guys behind John Batiste because they were just standing there and it looked like they wanted to talk, but they never got a chance.
Yeah, you kept seeing him fidget too. Like, all right, can I go now? Can I go now?
Well,
Dude, you can talk about it on late night. Get off.
that was Trent Reznor from Nine Inch
Nails. Yeah.
Here, he was actually.
I think
He
he won
had
before.
had like my math is bad, a 30% chance of winning because he was nominated twice in the same category.
Well, when we talk about sound, if your movie is called The Sound of Metal, it better win best sound editing, And then of course, if your movie is about soul music, I would hope it wins the proper awards for musical score or etc. But yeah, like I thought overall, the pacing was weird. The music choices were weird, but I think overall they did what they could with the circumstances that were given. It'll certainly be one of those shows where I think we'll look back at it and be like, hey, remember when we had that Oscars during the pandemic? If it's not happening next year, but
This is the Soderbergh Oscars. So
yeah.
Would you ever give Soderbergh another shot at this?
I don't know. Is he going to get another chance at this? Or are they going to be like,
Not.
oh, yeah, you can't skip the death montage like that. That's rich. And then
No,
why
they
did
need to
you
go
put this
back
here?
to the red carpet into the Kodak Theater and
Yeah.
It's more exciting. It wasn't exciting.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I think, how everyone felt with this Oscars. Like, I just don't like, it's not like, oh, I haven't heard about it and I don't care. I don't exactly agree with that opinion. But I think that because there was a lack of theaters, people didn't know what to see. When before you could just walk into the AMC and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
these are the movies that they all like talk about. Here it's like, oh, I got to go to Netflix. Oh, I got to go to Hulu. I got to go there. It's like, this is too confusing. I'm just going to put on Star Wars or something,
well, yeah, the shot of Bryan Cranston in the empty theater it made you like, oh man, I wish that was full and we were watching a
yeah,
regular Oscar.
Really.
yeah. Well, I gotta find I gotta find that image when I can. But guys, before we take off for the Oscars, do we have any parting thoughts? Do we what are we hoping to see in the future outside of a non-pandemic Oscars?
Well, a little continuity.
Yeah, that would be nice. A little, have the cameras match.
Well, and excitement. I mean, even when
Yeah.
they announced a winner, it didn't. There was no crowd. There was no. I mean, it just was kind of lay flat.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's
I think
all.
they have a big task in running this thing because for international films are winning the thing. So you can't have, an LA, you can't have Jimmy Kimmel necessarily,
Yeah.
globally, he's not known. So you have to sort of build an event that takes on the sort of scope of the industry. I
You think
mean,
he's not known? I
Uh,
don't know.
around the
in
world.
Asia or the UK. I mean,
No.
Bob Hope used to do it, but it was a different era, right? I mean,
Well, nobody's going anywhere now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
We can Google them all we want. Yeah.
Oh, when
Uh,
Bob Hope did it, what he do it for 20 something years?
Years.
He
Wow.
the Oscars, but
yeah.
but in those years, to your point,
Yeah.
it was a U.S. show. It was
Yeah, it was a Hollywood
it
insider.
was the film
Just-
industry.
No.
That was it.
and they used to, then Johnny Carson did it for many years. But Johnny Carson would make references to American culture, and you just can't do that when half the films are from Southeast Asia. It just doesn't.
Well, and also when you're in the middle of a pandemic, you can't use as much comedy as you would probably want to.
Yeah, like
Sure.
what can you make jokes about that isn't like horribly dark or depressing? It's tough to do.
I'm working at home, but that's about
Yeah.
how they.
Well, you had. I'm surprised that I guess he was in Australia or something, but Sacha Cohen is like one of the funniest guys
Oh yeah.
living, and they had him do nothing but stand there and smile.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that would have been great. I mean, it would have been a great opportunity for him to prank everybody during a pandemic. I don't know. Like, I remember he came out on one Oscar show dressed up as Ali G. And like his wife, like, helped like sneak in his costume for him, and he came out of the show and like unannounced. But yeah, that was a weird performance though. But yeah, I mean, overall, I hope that we get to have a normal Oscar show again. And yes, let's
In a normal
keep
world.
yes, in a normal world, and let's keep the order where it is. If Steven Soderbergh likes to come back, great. Just don't flip out the continuity, and don't shoot on those cameras. Just stick to I prefer Naked Gun 33 and a half Oscars sometimes to this. Greatest movie ever. Well, Al and Linda Lerner from moviesandshakers.com. Yeah, Bill Bunker from BillBunker.com. Thank you guys so much for coming on. In the description of the video or in the podcast, whichever you're listening to, we will have links to all of their stuff and all of my stuff. Again, my mic probably you'll probably agree. We used to have a bar theme, but the bars are closed now. Oh wait, copyright. So so cheers, everyone. I wasn't just drinking.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers.
All right, guys.
Take care.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Mike. Take care,
Thank you
everybody.
so much. And hopefully, guys, let me know if you probably agree with us or why you don't agree, and respectfully. All right. Thanks a lot.